Today I will be showing you my entire collection of portable cassette players. I'm a collector of all things physical media and a collector of the devices to play such physical media. It is a lot of them, so this will be a quick overview of every single one. If you would like to see a video of any particular one, please let me know, but let's get started. First, I have one of the world's smallest cassette players. This is the Toshiba KT-AS10. This was released around 1985. This cassette player is smaller than an actual cassette tape. It's kind of crazy how this even plays tapes. It is an all-metal device, and when you insert a cassette tape, the cassette tape actually sticks out of the player itself when you're using it. I have the original case it comes with, as well as the original foldable headphones and a little battery compartment to take on the go. This is definitely one of the coolest ones in my collection. Next, I have the Sony Walkman WM-F100. This was released in 1986. What's cool about this one is that it is as slim and as big as a regular cassette case. I really love all the green little details on this cassette player, and it's really cool, made out of metal. At the bottom it has a little detachable battery compartment, and inside it's really intricate looking, and it's crazy how a cassette even fits in this. It's very interesting how cassette companies were able to make cassette players this small. Next, I have the Sony Walkman WM-EX511. This was released in 1994. This one's also metal and extremely slim, and it is the lightest Walkman I own. It has a very premium build. It's crazy how a cassette fits in this because it's so tiny. This one comes with a detachable battery compartment, and it also has a slot to insert a gum stick battery. I love that I have the original case and the original headphones it comes with, as well as the actual charger for the gum stick battery. So those three were definitely my more smaller players. Now I'm going to show you a modern one. This is the We Are Rewind cassette player. This is in the colorway Amy. This is my only modern cassette player in my collection. What I love about this one is that it's rechargeable, so I don't have to deal with AA batteries, and it has Bluetooth capabilities. This is the cassette player I use to play cassettes over in my fourth stereo setup that I have shared here on YouTube. You can click the link here to see that. But now let's continue with all the vintage ones. Next, I have the Sony Walkman WM-F46. This was released in 1983. This one's a pretty typical cassette player that you'd see in the 80s. I really love the look of this one, and it is one that I use the most out of all of them. It has a plastic build, but it is a very reliable player, and I love the aesthetics of it, so that's why I use it a lot. Next, I have the Sony Walkman WM-F1. This was released in 1982. It is a much more heavy-duty build than the previous one. I really love the large buttons on the side, and on the top, I love how the radio looks with its blue and red design colorway. A very neat feature of this one is that you can actually use two headphones for this Walkman. Next, I have two very sleek Aiwa players. The first one is the Aiwa JS415. This was released in 1994. And then I have the predecessor, the Aiwa JS215, which was released in 1993. The 415 definitely has way more features. You can actually adjust the sound of the music because it has a little equalizer in the front. Both have the same layout of controls, so they're very similar, but the 215 has just one knob to boost the bass of the music. But you can see these two are pretty much the same, just very small different features that they have. Next, I have the Sanyo MGP9. This was released around 1986, and the biggest feature is that it is bright red. This one is definitely much more simpler than all my other cassette players in terms of features. It's also made out of plastic, but of course it looks so cool with the red colorway. Next, for a kind of rare cassette player, this is the Aiwa HS-G350. This was released in 1986. I absolutely love the super 80s design of this. It has a really cool equalizer in the front. It's a metal player, and I really love the green details it has throughout. This one has some really nice buttons on the side. Unfortunately, the open button to open the cassette player is broken, but I can still use it perfectly fine. This one's a very well built player. Next, I have two Sony Sports Walkmans. The first one is the WM-FS493. This one was released in 1995. And next, I have the WM-AF59, which was released in 1989. The first one definitely has way more features than the other one because it's much newer because it was in the 90s. It has a whole bunch of different buttons on the front for the radio, and inside it has this really cool orange colorway. This is also one of my most used cassette players because it's just super duper reliable. The AF59 is much more simpler. It does have radio function like the other one, but inside it has like a black colorway, but both are very reliable to use. Next, for a much more silly cassette player, I have the Radio Shack Cassette cassette player. This one was released around the 80s. As you can tell, it has a cow on the front and it has a red body. It's a plastic cassette player, so it has very minimal cassette buttons. This one I just think is very cute with a little cow on the front. Next, I have the Sony Megabass WM-F100. This was released in 1990. The main feature of this one is just that it's mega bass, so you can make the music have way more bass. This one's just the plain black model with radio buttons on the front. Just a very simple cassette player to use. Next, I have the Toshiba KT-AS10. This was released in 1981. This one has definitely seen some things because it's pretty beat up and worn down, but it is made out of metal, so it has lasted all these years. It has a little FM tuner cassette player that you can stick in, and I love how the Toshibas have this little icon that has like double headphones, so it tells you can actually plug in 2 pairs of headphones so you can listen with somebody else. Next, for another Toshiba, this is a KT-S1. This was released from 1981 to 1983. This one's definitely in much better condition than the previous one. It's probably thanks to this cassette case it has on it. I really love the design of this one. I love that the metal inside of the cassette tray is blue. This one also has that little headphone icon so you can plug in 2 headphones, and this one's just very well built and I really love the design of it. Next, for a bigger version of that, I have the Toshiba KT-R2. This was released in 1981 and it is much bigger because for this one you can actually record on it. This one has a little cassette tuner that you can stick in to play the radio. Like the other Toshibas, it has a little icon so you can listen with 2 pairs of headphones. This one has very satisfying buttons on the side and a really cool carrying case and strap so you can carry it around. Just a very cool player overall. We're continuing with the much larger players. This next one is the General Electric Escape. This is from 1981. I always see a really cool advertisement of this online that I will share right here. I've seen that ad a couple of times and I didn't put one and one together that I actually have that player. This comes with a carrying case that's blue, like the cassette player is blue as well. It has some very large buttons on the side that look very cool, and like the previous Toshiba players, this one also has 2 headphone jacks so you can listen with a friend. Next, I have the Sanyo M4430. This was released in the early 1980s. I'm only going by that because it has a sticker on the side that's a Pink Panther sticker that says 1981, so it's probably somewhere around there. I really love the white colorway of this player. It is very heavy duty. I love the buttons on the side of this one, and I have a little strap so I can take it wherever I want to go. Next is probably my oldest portable cassette player. This is the Sony TC-FS. This was released around 1973. This one is definitely more catered towards recording. This is definitely not really considered a player because it's a tape recorder, so it's much more for recording and playing back what you record. A very interesting fact that the previous model before this one, the TC50, was actually the Walkman that was taken to the moon. Very cool. But this one's very heavy duty. It's made out of complete metal. It has this little compartment to stick in 4 AA batteries, but this is like the heaviest Walkman I own, and it's just a very well built tank. So I'm on my last Walkman. All the previous Walkmans I've shown, they all work. This next one unfortunately is getting fixed, so it's definitely not completely put together, but I wanted to show in this video because it's a really cool one that I hope to eventually use and have it functioning. So this is a Sony Walkman WM-5. This was released in 1982. This one's an all metal player. It has these really cool buttons on one side, and on the other side you can actually see a little window to see the cassette playing. As you can see, I have it in a bag because it needs fixing and it needs to be properly put together, but hopefully I'll get that working soon. So that was every single portable cassette player in my entire collection. I'm definitely open to adding more to my collection because there's just so many different different varieties of cassette players out there. I just love how every single one is unique in its own way, so I definitely would like to add more. I am in the mood to play some cassette tapes now, so I will leave you here. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and if you would like to see more of my content, make sure to subscribe. And if you would like to see more of me, I post over on TikTok and Instagram pretty regularly about my entire music collection and hi-fi collection, so definitely go check those out. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching!